Good evening, my dear things. Welcome back to the Cabinet of Secrets. I'm Kasara, the host of the channel. You can also call me Cassie. Thank you so much for the new subscribers. I appreciate your support. Welcome to the Fangdom. Tonight we're finishing up Killer Couples. Next week we'll be starting something new, but sticking to true crime, if that's okay with all of you. With this case, I won't be discussing any of the grisly details, just because it can be triggering for some people. I will say this as a trigger warning. Guns were used, so if those are a hot topic for you, you may want to skip this case. And law enforcement agents were the victims, primarily, unfortunately. If you want to know more about this case, I'll obviously leave links in the description for those of you who want to look into more about the victims and the crimes at hand. I will let you know in advance, this was not an easy case to research. There wasn't a lot of information, and I was trying to find something that was more modern than something from history. So, tonight's killer couple, known as the Gang of Amazons, resided in a small town called Dubnoy, located in Stavropol, Russia. In 2007, Inessa, her husband Roman, along with their daughters, Victoria and Anastasia, started committing a series of murders and robberies. This spanned across 6 years, which is so surprising. Roman was a dentist, and Inessa was a nursery school teacher, and Inessa is behind me. The family was pretty well off, yet they traveled around using camping as a guise for their crimes. Kind of weird. I don't even know how or why this started, to be honest, but it is rumored that Inessa had a former lover that left her for another woman. He worked as a policeman in the area, which is believed what fueled her extreme hatred towards anything law enforcement. And that's not all. Inessa's first husband died suspiciously, and Roman was the prime suspect, especially since they were married shortly after her first husband's death. Anastasia, age 13, was from Inessa's first marriage, along with Victoria, age 25. Those are the only 2 children that I know of that she has. Anastasia had behavioral troubles in school, but the teachers didn't want to punish her because they were afraid of Inessa, and that should just tell you everything about this woman. Instead, the teachers requested that Anastasia leave school and be homeschooled, and that's how she got involved in all of this. The family's first victims were Mikhail Zelenev and his wife. Mikhail was the head of the Information Security Department for the State Drug Control Service. The couple were killed before the family took several small items from the home. A few months later, the family moved on to murder Alexei Sazonov and left Julia Vasileva seriously wounded in the vehicle. The family stole a purse containing a driver's license and a passport, and that was pretty much it. I don't really think that was worth it, to be honest. In 2009, in the outskirts of Novocherkassk, the family broke into a home and murdered 2 people who lived there. The family then proceeded to steal passports, a laptop, a camera, and some clothing. And I don't know why the obsession with passports, to be honest. Unless they were planning on using them to leave the country. That same year, the family found Lieutenant Colonel Dmitry Shadokov, his wife, and their children parked on the shoulder of a road. The family murdered them brutally and stole a laptop, hairdryer, and a camera, but they left the gold jewelry, which was another weird thing. Since a lieutenant colonel was killed along with his family, the case soon became a high-profile one. In 2010, the family murdered and robbed 2 teenage girls. One of them was supposedly Inessa's goddaughter. The initial plan was to take out the whole family, but when the 2 girls showed up at the house, Roman and Inessa ambushed them instead and tortured them before killing them. In 2012, the family murdered Vladimir Mandryk and Vasily Kimferin, who were 2 guards of a private security company, who responded to a local dental clinic, which is very ironic. The family confiscated the guards' weapons after killing them. 2 months later, the family broke into the home of Vadim Loskov. The man tried to pursue the family, but the family murdered him with the weapons they stole from the security guards. The next year, the family murdered Nikolai Kutsakin, who left his apartment after hearing his car alarm going off. After seeing the suspicious people near his vehicle, he attempted to tame them, but was murdered in the process. The next month, the family killed grocery store employees who were responding to alarms that were set off at the store. Of course, bad family. The family didn't even allow them to get out of their vehicle before opening fire on them. Nikolai Kirsanov survived, but his passenger Yuri Statsenko died at the hospital. A few weeks later, the family murdered Police Lieutenant Andrei Urin, who was going out for a late-night drive. He was shot leaving his home. The family attempted to break into his house, but the door was locked, so the family left without taking anything, leaving Urin's wife and child safe from being murdered themselves. Later that same year, Roman and Victoria proceeded to rob the home of a former military officer, Rostov Oblast. After finding money, they decided to steal candles, alcohol, and food from the refrigerator, which was another weird thing. They managed to escape the scene, but were stopped shortly after by a patrol officer, Ivan Shakovo. Instead of showing their documents, Roman killed the officer with the guns that he had on him. Roman was murdered. Well, I wouldn't say murdered, but he was killed shortly after when backup arrived. Victoria actually made it out of the gunfight alive, but was detained and seriously wounded. Shortly after the firefight, Inessa and Anastasia were captured at the campsite where they were guarding their large cache of weapons, which included 20 firearms, a silencer, grenades, and ammunition. Items that were stolen from the victims were also discovered at the camp, which linked the family to the murders, of course. The family saw their crimes like it was no big deal. Inessa confessed right off the bat, and she also confessed to hating police, stating she was a gangster by nature. Arrested alongside the family was Roman's sister, Anna, and her husband, Sergei, who was a former police officer. Anna denied having any involvement or knowledge of the crimes. However, there was stolen goods found within her home, and she was known to sell jewelry at local stores. Sergei was a local police officer and supplied the family with information to assist them in evading capture. It's also speculated that he convinced Inessa to begin her life of crime, but it's not confirmed. During the court hearing, Inessa said her husband Roman was the one who harmed the children. She had zero involvement in their deaths. Like, that matters. Victoria, Sergei, and Anna were all sentenced to around 21 years, but not much is known about Anastasia, since she was a minor at the time of the arrest. Over the 6 years, the family murdered 30 people, which is so shocking for me. I don't know how, in this day and age, they could do something and get away with it, especially murdering that many people. I'm just so surprised. What are your thoughts on this case? What do you think of the sentence? Do you feel it should have been harsher? Especially since it's Russia. I'm actually surprised it wasn't a harsher sentence, to be honest. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments below. This definitely was a doozy for sure. And I'm still surprised by this one. Next week, we'll be switching things up a little bit. Sticking to true crime, of course, but changing the theme. I'm not sure what type of crimes yet, so you'll have to stay tuned for those. I'm hoping to be more active on Twitter. I know I say that a lot, and I don't. So don't count me on it, but I'm hoping to actually be more active and letting you know what's coming. So if it's something of interest to you, you can tune in. Or if it's not, you can just skip it. But regardless, I hope you all have a relaxing weekend and enjoy it. I wish it would warm up. It is so cold. It's been freezing this whole week. Well, not a whole week, but a lot of it. But anyways, stay warm. Spring will hopefully be here soon. And take care until next time. Bye, everyone.